Hi guys, and welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. This is episode number 37. How are you, mate?
That was very formal. I'm great, mate. How are you? We were making a joke about Finn going to the football after this, knocking a few people out in his attire. If you look there,
I do look
proper
quite
football.
hard, to be fair.
I reckon if you had a Stony on over it, mate, I reckon, like a jacket.
With my beard as well.
Yeah.
And the fact I'm a bit fat.
Yeah. I reckon if you had a pint in one of your hands as well, mate, I wouldn't want to mess with you.
It's a vodka Coke.
Vodka and Coke. Vodka and Coke at this hour. Fair enough. First drink. Love that. But yeah, no, all is good, mate. I think, if I'm not mistaken, we got tagged in a story by a guy who sacked you. That we're now the comedians with the funniest.
I thought that I was going to put the cheek of it. You sacked me this week, and you also tagged me in the story saying I'm a comedian.
was it this week he sacked you?
You can't do both. I think it was like last week, but yeah.
If I wouldn't have mentioned it, I thought like the cut could still be, still present. It's not scabbed over yet.
It's scabbed over. No, it was like I said. He went about it the right way. He's a sound guy.
What, he just said, mate, I'm not signing. I'm not staying.
See you later. He said, mate, you're a shit coach. I'm sick of the 1 minute check-in saying, yeah, sound, carry on, do what you're doing. He said he wasn't comfortable with me asking for naked photos. And I was like, everyone else is.
You were like, wait, yeah, every other coach does this.
Yeah.
What? He was like, no, mate, I don't think they do. And you're like, oh, well, I've heard they do. Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, we're now comedians coming to a theatre near you, aka Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. That's pretty much that. But yeah, nothing too much to report, mate. Same old when it comes to training. Nothing really that special. Going to reset the deadlift. Been told to piss off too many times now on 300 kilos. So I got that for a double. That's going to be brought back down. And we've had Pete video. The Friday session for me, Wednesday session to yesterday, and then he's videoing for you tomorrow, isn't he? So it's almost like a overload currently, which I'm quite a big fan of. I like.
A good job.
Yeah, he is doing a good job, and I'm quite a big fan of like how they're coming across, because it's giving a bit of content. It's almost an insight into our training, and this is no slight, because I don't think Connor or Joe will be watching this, or likewise Matt. But there's not really. It doesn't really feel like you're being videoed, does it? It's a bit different. Like, I actually quite prefer Pete in comparison to the videographers we worked with before. Yeah,
he's quiet, isn't he? And he just lets us get on with it, and he's always there to so whenever he just captures whatever we're chatting about, and after a set, he'll just pan to us, and if we want to talk, we can. If we don't, we don't. I mean, you always want to talk, but I often just leave it.
Yeah.
You can't not talk for 5 minutes when the camera's near you.
I don't know about that, mate. He just says I'm more entertaining, and he just puts the camera on me. So I'm like, oh, sorry, mate. I feel like I have to.
Right, so it's I'll finish my set, and he'll go up to me. Sometimes I'll discuss what I need to discuss, or I'll chat about it. Yeah. Most of the time, just good set, or I'll just walk away. Every time, 5 minutes, just chatting shit.
5 minutes.
Even in my videos, 5 minutes of you chatting shit every time.
Well, okay, tomorrow I won't even be there, mate. I'm not going to train. I'm not going to train tomorrow. I'm going to have a rest day. You know what? From this conversation, mate, I now feel I'm not welcomed to train at Progress Works. I'm going to cancel my
Progress.
Probably a gym. That's why. I'm cancelling my membership, mate. I don't want to train now. You know what? You've ruined it. I was really looking forward to the video now, and now I'm going to be self-conscious, thinking you better not talk, Reece. I just can't help it. Not fair, mate. You're bullying me. So yeah, that's that. But no, other than that, anything else to really touch on? Did we discuss anything that we thought, we'll talk about this? I mean, there was a bit of drama and controversy, but I don't really want to get into that last week. It's old news now.
What, with most the coaching?
Yeah, that we kind of mentioned. I mean,
I don't think we need to go into that.
I don't think it's even even if it was relevant, I don't really give a fuck. Unfortunately, we said this. There's a lot of bellends in a lot of walks of life. There's bellends in coaching. There's bellends in other, let's say, external things that we wouldn't touch upon. And unfortunately, that's how the world is. I always say this, and it's something you've got to remember. When you're at school, there's always kids who you didn't get on with, and you were like, he's a bit fucking weird. And if anybody's listening and they can't remember the kid who's weird, might be you. So that it might be one of them. So it's and unfortunately,
not even the kid that's weird though, is it? You just have kids that you don't get on with.
Yeah, exactly. And then some kids are like
you say, you got to remember they end up being adults as well.
Yeah, I remember being told that when I was 18, because you get your perception when you're 13, 14 is everyone who's an adult has their head straight and they're screwed on. They've got a job. And then you realise when you get there, you're like, fucking hell, not many people actually have an idea.
It's crazy. Like, the thing is, the scary thing is, a lot of people still have that thought process. So like, there's people that I know who think their mum and dad know everything. They're like, oh, but my mum said that. And I'm like, that's not correct. Like, it doesn't matter if your mum said it. Like, that doesn't mean that it's true. I remember I had a client, so this was when I was PTing. I hope he doesn't listen to this. To be fair, I don't think he'll even remember. I don't even think he'll remember. But basically, we were talking about food prep, and like I said to him, like, oh well, like get yourself a rice cooker. Like, really, it's really easy. You can put it on while you go in the shower. Like, it'll be done by the time you finished or whatever. And then you can prep it and just put it in the fridge for the next 3 to 5 days, and that's your carb sources for the however many meals, two meals a day. I can't put rice in the fridge, and I was like, you can, and he's like, my mum told me I can't, mate. This man, this is about a 40-year-old man. This isn't an 18-year-old kid. This is a 40-year-old man. And I was like, I can guarantee you can, mate. I said, I know, like, obviously people have, like, it's a bit of a, there might be bacteria when it's going from hot and cold, but I guarantee you'll be all right. Like, I know loads of people that do it. I've done it for years, and I've been fine. Like, it's very rare that you're going to get ill unless you leave it for 2 weeks. Then but you're asking for it.
You should say me. I shit 12 times a day. Trust me, you'll be fine.
Yeah, honestly, you'll be fine. But honestly, he was like, I don't know, mate. My mum said not to. He's 40. I was like, what the
you want to say, like, excuse me, I'm not being rude, but when your mum was like our age, were fridges even a thing?
I just was like, fair enough. Like, do what you want, but you can't help people like that. Like,
no,
they're almost deluded.
What, the rice or Piad?
I didn't think we were talking about Piad, but it's like they're just a bit deluded, and they think that because it's something they've been told forever that it's true. I remember I went through like a phase where I realised that, and like everything that my mum and dad said, I'd like questioned them on it, and they didn't really like it because it wasn't normal. It's probably when I was like 17, 18. I went through a phase where I was like, they don't know everything. Adults don't know everything. And like, I'd question everything, and I'd try and like Google it if I'd heard something, or especially when you go to uni, you find out how to properly research and not just to say, oh, I've read that on Wikipedia, so it's true. Like, you find out how to properly research things. So, but yeah, I don't know how we really got onto that after we were talking about a certain coach that we weren't going to name, but you named him.
I thought you said it underneath.
Giving him publicity.
Oh, mate, he's got more followers than both of us. So
yeah, they're all fucking fake.
Yeah, but still, you never know. And so yeah, that was that. I actually think that's quite a good discussion point regarding older people and your perception of them and how they are, and knowing that they don't actually know a lot. And unfortunately, it's how it is in gym now. Yeah, carry on.
Can I just play this voice note that you sent me, because I've not heard it yet?
Oh yeah, mate, I don't speak English. Go for it. It was let me in. It was let me in. Was like.
Can you hear that?
No, like, let me in. I thought that was quite funny. I listened to it back and thought, God, I'm so inaudible with it. Like, you can't even tell what I say. So yeah, that was me saying, let me in. So yeah. Now, to be fair, it's the same, if you want to think about it, how people are in the gym anyway. Like, how many people do we hear? Like, I've intentionally, like, put my headphones in, like, like, just to take my mind off what you hear people say.
You hear some right
and
bullshit.
Unfortunately, yeah. And it's like, I think it gets worse. Like, when, I'm not going to say when you know what you're talking about, but, like, I always find it really, like...
It definitely does, because even, like, I've had clients who will say, like, oh, since I've been sending videos to you, now I see other people in the gym, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, things like that. So it's the same in terms of if you know a little bit more, you know what you're on about.
Yeah. But it's more so, like, I always think the attitude of how people are, like, I don't mind someone spreading their opinion, but usually it's from people who are like, yeah, this is how you do it, that's how you do it, this is what you should do. And it's like...
rather than, like, actually trying to educate.
Yeah, like, I always say, like, whenever we've mentioned it, like, we'll be training and, like, we'll have someone random normally come up to us, not all the time, but like sometimes, and they'll be like, oh, why are you doing this? Or how do you set up this exercise like that we're doing, or something, you know, like some random question. And I remember there was a guy at Premier Gym, there's been a few at like Evo, etc. There was a guy at Warehouse where I did a single arm pull down with him, and I was kind of explaining it to him last week. I kind of said in the most basic way, I was like, well, just give it a go. If it feels good, do it your way. If this feels better, spot on. And then he was like, oh, can you watch my set? And I was like, yeah, sure, I don't mind. And I was like, right, try that again. If it doesn't feel better, don't worry.
And then you sent him a PayPal link.
Oh, exactly. I said to him, by the way, mate, I was like, hopefully you're all good. My name's Reece. I'm actually a coach, so that's going to be a little bit of money. So I'm just going to send my PayPal.
I actually charged £50 for 5 minutes of my time. That set was about.
Well, he had an in-person consultation, so you know what I mean. We've probably got to whack up a little bit just based off the in-person. You know, he didn't schedule it through like a video call.
Through Calendly, you didn't book in through my Calendly, so I'm actually going to have to charge you double.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm out of office hours.
I could have had someone else. Could have had someone else in that slot.
Mate, yeah, just taking a FaceTime in the gym. Like, hey mate, how you doing? Just a quick consultation. You know, yeah, it's 250 quid for an hour. Yeah, don't worry, mate. It's fine. That's what it would be. But no, so yeah, and like I would never. I don't think I've ever said you have to do this, you have to do that. But unfortunately, you always get people, and they're always like, "This is what you should do." Like I said it to you the other week, and I was like, God. Some people just chat absolute shit. And it's usually from the people that, not being harsh, but they don't usually look that good and they don't really know a lot. And it's where they almost have to spurt it out as a bit of insecurity. But it's just
older guys, isn't it? Like middle-aged guys that think they know what they're on about because they're a bit older.
Yeah, definitely. And the one benefit is I'm glad that I'm not like 15 to 18 again, because I used to get it so often in leisure centre gyms, or like when I train and people like I'd always get told like you could be doing this, you should be doing that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm cool. I think I've said this on the podcast before that a guy at Ultraflex Leeds stopped talking to me because I didn't take like a +5 assisted rep on a flat bench press. He gave me one, I racked it, and he was like, bro, you had like 4 more, and I was like I didn't. You did it. Yeah. And he was like, well, why I'm here? Why didn't you go for it? And I was like, because I can't replicate that next week. I was like, and it's just going to ruin the rest of my session if I took a +5. And he was like, yeah, but you would have got more out of it. And I was like, well, I failed. I'm happy. And he was like, oh, you know, and he just like, he never spoke to me after that. And I was like, sound. I'm glad I didn't take a +5. He literally was like, 4 more. Already failed.
Say 10 more. 10 more on leg extension.
Yeah, 10 more on the leg extension. I was just sat there at the bottom of the bench press, like, mate,
crying.
I can't.
I haven't got 10 more.
And he slapped me and he was like, go again. I was like, mate, I can't. Oh, the leg extension video, I'll die, and I know that was one of my favourite videos that I've seen of all time. Guy strapping into
and the lateral raise. Where's that guy gone? The lateral raise. Changing the lateral raise. Sean Hennessy.
King Hennessy? Was it something Sean? Yeah, King Hennessy, I think. King Hennessy, if you're still around, your lateral raise video, me and Finn loved during lockdown. Like, genuinely, we watched it 20 times, 10 times.
We didn't.
No, we probably watched it a few times. I think I showed you. And then you were like, I've all the exercise, a lateral raise. Like, I want to see what he's training like in the gym now. Because I'm actually just fainting at the bottom of the hack squat or the bottom of the leg press, like getting pinned at the bottom. He comes back round. He's like, whoa, fucking hell.
What happened, guys?
Well, yeah. Did anyone get that video? Send it to me.
You got that video where I tear my pec?
That's what it would be. So, yeah. Oh, mate, I haven't actually put up a question box. I was going to put a last minute questions, but I got a bit distracted. So I'll put one up now and we'll see. We'll see if anybody wants to ask. So thanks, mate. Fantastic facial expression. That. Did you get any questions today?
Yeah, loads.
Did you?
I've got a few, yeah.
Okay, that's sound. I'll put last minute questions up just in case anybody would like to ask some more questions. Do you want to get through me? And we'll see if I get any. Because like I said, I forgot to put the question box up.
Okay. Right.
Oh, actually, can I start with one question that we completely forgot? You know, Jacob Vice, you know, Evo. That's good, mate. He came up to me and he was like, mate, did you answer my question on the podcast? That's good, that. Fucking hell.
Hey, I'm famous. Am I getting famous?
Mate, what? How many is that? That's like 40 questions, 30 questions, surely.
I think there's about 20 something.
That's so the podcast is so inconsistent when it comes to questions. Like it's never consistent.
I know, sometimes, but the thing is, a lot of the time at the minute, I'm getting long ones. So like some people are asking the question in 3 boxes and stuff. Yeah.
Well, can we start off with Jacob's one? Because he came up to me and he was like, hey, mate, I hope you answered the question that I asked. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got round to it. And I was like, wait, what was the question? And he told me, and it was literally the only question we ignored. So basically, I'm not going to get it up because I can't remember exactly what it was word for word, but it was basically, what is your perception of how much water an individual should drink per day?
What is your perception?
Yeah, like I think it was like, what's your understanding of how much water you should drink? And then I said to him, ask me it in person. And he asked me it, and I was like, ask on the podcast. We need to Google it. Can't just give you a straight up answer. I was like, no chance I'm giving you a straight up answer to that. Sorry, mate. We usually Google all the answers to the questions.
We have to pause it all the time.
Finn sends me through all the questions before. I send him over mine. We have a quick Google search, and then we just go, right, we've got all the questions. We've got a Wikipedia. Yeah, and then we're like, oh yeah, we know what we're talking about. And then when he asked me in person, I was like, what? How much water do you drink a day? He's like,
what's water?
Yeah,
how much what? What's that?
And I was like, that's sound. That's fine. And he was like, okay, cheers, mate. Thanks. That's what it was.
If we're actually giving an answer, I don't always give like, you have to drink this amount, because everybody's different. People train at different levels. People train in different climates. Generally, people sweat more. Like generally, when clients start, I will put like 4 liters as a minimum. For most people, if they're quite a heavy individual, then generally it might be 5 liters or more. If it's a female who's maybe quite petite, then I'll maybe say start with 3, especially if they're someone who struggles and they're like, oh, I hardly drink any water. I'm not going to say get 5 liters in. It's almost like you've got to sort of gradually work it up. Yeah, sort of get them sort of adapted to it. But yeah, there's no sort of specific amount that you need. I always just say to clients, it's like a question in my check-ins, like hydration levels, things like that. Obviously, if you're going to the toilet and your piss is brown every time you go, then you're probably not well hydrated. So you're generally going to want to be going and your piss is relatively clear or very light coloured or straw coloured, if you like. And yeah, for some people, that might mean drinking 3 litres a day, especially if they've not got a demanding job. Maybe they've got a sedentary job. Maybe they live in a cold climate. And then you've got other people who maybe live in a warm climate. They've got an active job. They might be needing 10 litres, 12 litres. So it's very individualistic.
Yeah. What is your daily water consumption, Finley?
So on a training day, I'll generally have about 8 to 10 litres, depending on the session. And then on a rest day, usually about 6 to 8, depending on the weather, how busy I am. I don't like say, oh shit, I'm 500 mil short of what I should be getting. I just drink so that I'm hydrated, but I do drink quite a lot. I can tell, like, as soon as I am feeling the slightest bit dehydrated, I feel like my body can tell, and I get a bit of a dry mouth, and I get a little, not like a headache, but I can just tell a little bit. My head just doesn't feel 100%. Really, so I'm like, I can just tell when I need to drink a bit more. But very, very rarely. I'm always obviously dehydrated in the mornings. Or hypohydrated.
Hypohydrated, mate. Come on.
Dehydration is the.
This is why we should have Googled it.
So guys, hypohydration.
I've got to do the whole podcast again, mate. Cut that bit out. We can't look like.
I'm gonna tell people this. So hypohydration is when you're in a dehydrated state. Hyperhydration is obviously if you're overly hydrated. Euhydration is when you're well hydrated and where you should be.
Dehydration is the process from going from one end to the other end of the spectrum. Exactly. But people say dehydrated, like I'm so dehydrated. It's like, but no, it does make,
but it is a lot more. It's just easier than going, I'm so hypohydrated, and people are like, what do you mean? Or going, did you say hypo or hyper? Like, hypo, what? Like, it's just easier to say, are you dehydrated? Or maybe it's because you are dehydrated and saying hypo.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. There was something, mine's similar. Literally, I drink the exact same amount, like to the mil. I just copy, mate, on train days, non-train days. Throughout prep, it got really excessive. Like, genuinely, I was drinking a stupid amount of water. I was literally like, I think it was almost just to fill the hole in my stomach, because I was never hungry, but I was just thirsty constantly. So I was just sipping on water all day.
I can fill your hole if you want, mate. I'll fill your hole if you want.
Yeah, of course, mate. We'll talk about that afterwards. Okay. It doesn't have to be right.
Not something for the podcast,
no? Not really something for the podcast. No, keep it PG, mate.
Don't know what you want from me anymore.
Yeah, I don't really know, to be fair, even myself, mate. I'm just, it's not you, it's me. Sorry. Yeah, exactly. Well, I've actually got 2 questions.
Can I do mine, please?
Mate. No, mate, they're both from the same guy. They're both from Jacob, asking about water. He just put the benefits of hydration and how would you determine how much an individual needs, and then he literally asked the same question on his normal. Fair enough. Really wants to know.
Well, we didn't say about benefits.
Yeah, well, let's just benefits.
Benefits. You're not going to feel shit. Your training's going to be better. Your digestion's going to be better. Your ability to uptake nutrition is going to be better, and shuttle nutrients around the body is going to be better. Your sleep's going to be better. Your skin's going to be better. There are numerous benefits. Basically, it's like when people are like, "Oh, what?
You're not going to die." I mean, you don't drink water, you can die.
So it's like when people are like, "What's the detriment of having alcohol? Really? Like, is it that bad?" And it's like, well, no. But if you were to just do it all the time, you're not going to feel good, and you're not going to make good progress.
Well, mate, your back was ruined after you went out on the lash after your deadlift session.
Not recovered. Not recovered. No. What I don't understand as well is like this question about being like hydrated. Obviously, it's fair enough just wanting to know, like, what's the benefits? But why would you not tick that box? I'm not saying he's not, but why would you not? You know what I mean? It's like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, I'm not really, I don't think that's that important. It's like,
so easy. Like,
even if it's not that important,
it's
not difficult and it's very cheap. Like, same with creatine. When people are like, I don't take creatine. I'm like, well, you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot. I'm not saying that it's going to be the game changer that's going to make all your progress, but it's so cheap. Like, why? And there's that much research on it. Why wouldn't you? Like, it's the same with sleep. Like, I'm fine getting 5 hours. Well, yeah, you might feel fine, but you'd be a lot better getting 7. Like, all these kind of things that people sort of think. It's like you need to shift your mindset from what can you get away with to what can you improve. I think a lot of people think, what can I get away with? I'm like, oh, well, I've been all right drinking 2 liters. I've been all right getting 5 hours. Like, yeah, you've been all right, but you could be a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I got this question. I think I got it twice. I got it from Charlie Everall, Mr. Everlast. And I got it from AJ Balwa. And I also heard it on the radio the other day. And I feel like it's like a trend going around. You might have heard it. Is there more...
Yeah.
Is there more wheels or doors? Yeah.
Mate, the Team Arfit group chat were fucking loving this last night. Awful.
Oh, were they?
They were like, and they were like, like, for example, we're sat on chairs. So those chairs have wheels. Cars have doors, but they also have wheels. Houses have doors. There's also wardrobes. They usually have like wheels, but they also have doors. I would personally say there's more wheels. Yeah, I'll go wheels.
Yeah, there will be more wheels because of things like Lego.
Lego? What, like Lego wheels?
No, if you think about things like Lego and little toys and Hot Wheels and all these cars and little things like that, they all have little wheels.
But you know, one thing that someone brought up in the debate, and I actually thought it was a good idea, you know, if you've still got an advent calendar, there's 24 doors on an advent calendar.
Yeah, but they're only like the end of the year, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know what? I really don't care.
No, I don't like.
I mean, I know that's not a good answer, and I don't mean to come across as a dick to the people that asked it, but I just don't care.
Yeah. What would you place your bets on? Wheels? Team wheels?
Wheels, but if it's not wheels, I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, fucking hell. I wish it was wheels.
Fuck me, I thought the wheels were going to win.
Oh, no.
Then everyone who's on team doors, you're just like, fuck off.
My mates are bullying me for weeks because they said it was doors.
Oh, no. Imagine. Oh, hey mate, I'm actually going to be cancelling the coaching for the next month. I know I'm actually on team doors and on team wheels, so I just don't really feel like our goals align at this moment. So it's been a pleasure, mate. Later, imagine on the coaching application, which one are you? Imagine, and then anything that says the opposite doesn't even get sent to you. He's like, fuck it.
All right, this is from Waboz. Wink face.
Waboz, wink. Loves a wink.
What exercise would pick to challenge side delt efficiently? What exercise would you pick to challenge the side delt efficiently in a push session? For example, challenging the short range, then another exercise for the lengthened. Thanks, boys. Thanks, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, boys.
with a wink. That's what we need. So to be fair, I feel like the side delts are they're an interesting one, if anything. I usually would just say you shouldn't really be thinking, and this is my personal opinion, and my side delts are pretty okay, I wouldn't be trying to be like placing an emphasis on the lengthened or the shortened. I think there is some thoughts, but I would generally just pick an exercise that you connect quite well with and you can get a good internal feel, and you are literally like abducting the arm, and more so kind of the upper arm elbow is coming out, and like I said, you're getting the side delt nice and short. So like a cuffed line cable lateral raise with your right arm, let's say with the cuff on the left cable, that's going to be placing an emphasis on the lengthen. It's going to be a drop off, but I wouldn't be like, okay, you can't do that first. I had that first on my push session on Friday, and that's because I connect really well with it. I like a single arm cuffed leaning lateral, so a slight lean cable up to hip height, so it almost matches the arm path in relation to where the shoulder's coming from, and more so like the upper arm on that travel, and how it's kind of aligning it. I really like that. So anything cuffed I quite like. I know you cuff with like a D handle holding, so you get some like forearm activation, and likewise you almost kind of, you do your laterals a little bit different to me. You almost bring your arm almost out and in front of you slightly, which I actually think makes sense from like a mechanical standpoint. I personally prefer more of like a straight fixed arm approach where it's kind of coming more to the side. And that's just, again, my own mechanics and what feels good for me. But I think we could both agree like a dumbbell lateral raise probably not the best or most efficient, but like we're both quite a big fan of like cables and cuffed work, aren't we?
Yeah, if you were deliberately trying to train them through those specific ranges, then a dumbbell lateral would be a decent shout as a shortened focus. Even things like a Y raise or a crucifix lateral would be good for a shortened, or a chest supported lateral like I do on, did it the other day, did it in my YouTube video, it's coming out soon. And then if you're trying to do something in more of the lengthened position, you could do like a standing sort of cross body, holding the cables so you can let your arms come across your body. It's going to drop off slightly in the shortened range. It's going to be challenging more, and you can actually get into that lengthened range as well, letting the arm come across the body, which you're going to struggle to do with things like a dumbbell or even like a crucifix. But yeah, I agree what you said, as well, in terms of focusing on exercises that you just connect with more so than anything. But yeah, if you were really trying to do that, trying to think, right, I have to do the short and I have to do the lengthened, then a dumbbell would probably be a good shout. And then like some form of, like I say, a standing crossbody kind of thing would probably be a decent shout for a lengthened range. But yeah, I think you can overcomplicate those things. It's even the same with like biceps and triceps. Like you don't need to be overly analyzing those things. Like generally just choose movements that feel good, variety of grips, angles, so you are still taking it through a different range, but you don't need to overanalyze it really.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. For reference, on our Monday session, we start off with a single arm cable lateral, and then we finish, and that's 3 sets, and then we finish with a standing cross cable lateral, where we have like it's not really an amount of drop sets. It's like between like 3 and 4 drops usually. So like a drop set, more metabolic emphasis to conclude the session.
So this is from DP Fit. Is Reece worried about potential injuries / tendons? So are you worried about tendons, mate? Are you worried about potential tendons due to crazy growth now assisted? Are you worried about growing some new tendons, mate?
Yeah, honestly, mate. They're ridiculous.
Are you taking that gear that grows tendons?
Honestly, mate, clearly am. I don't know if he's saying this like tongue-in-cheek, because I've heard this comment before, and like I found it quite amusing.
I think he probably is.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's taking the piss. But then additionally, I don't know where he would know this from other than me and you joking about it on the podcast a few times. But no, Dan, I'm not really worried.
Crazy growth as well, he said. Crazy growth.
Crazy growth. It's not really. This is the thing. I think people just see when someone post-show, and it's like, we got loads of questions like, Reece, your progress has been immense. It really hasn't. It's just been when I've just done the do and I'm not like an absolute twat after a show where I've put on 20 kilos, 10 kilos within the first month. And I'm like, oh, I'm fat again. I literally controlled myself very well. I progressed my training. I was relatively pretty strong prior to prep, and I was strong throughout prep. The only points where my training really suffered was the last few weeks. And then because you're in that, let's say, show window of like 3, 4, 5 weeks, that I was pretty much at like show condition. And I'll arguably say afterwards as well, I was still in show condition because I was almost too lean and I had to almost build my food up into the following shows. It was where my training, I'm not going to say suffered, but you just can't recover from actual proper training. So I had to train like a bit of a pussy, like a bit of a weapon. I wasn't training to failure. I had a rep in reserve. I was doing like devolume sessions for like 4, 5, 6 weeks. And that takes its toll when it comes to let's say what your training is, how your numbers are. So when I started, let's say food going back up, this isn't PD usage at all. This was literally like, I was technically like, I'm not going to say natty. I wasn't natty, but I was in a physiological range of androgens. And therefore, like post show, the first like 8 to 10 weeks, I was literally just putting on the strength that I've lost. And then also like getting the benefits of obviously, like I say, a prep and then handling it well. So right now, like I am stronger than I've ever been, but mate, I'm not like drastically stronger. Like I'm stronger on a lot of movements, but I'm not like, oh my God, you've gone from here to here. Like I was already pretty strong and I've just put that strength on and then put a little bit more on it, because I think people probably would have saw how I trained during prep and during the latter, and they think, fucking hell, he's got really, really strong. When in reality, like if I was to go through my numbers that I did before prep, like I RDL'd 250, I had a flat bench 180, like in the grand scheme of things, it's not like they're pretty decent numbers. So it's not where like I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm so much stronger. I'm just a little bit stronger. And I think again, it's more so been the sense of putting on the strength that I lost throughout the latter ends of prep. Do you have any input on that, mate?
No, mate, I just think you're going to get injured and then you'll be like, oh, fucking hell, I should have listened. I should have just stopped training.
And I'll have loads of just tendons growing everywhere. I'll be like,
too many tendons. Your tendons coming out your ears, mate.
Yeah, you know Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus. I'll be like him with my tendons just coming out everywhere. And I'm like, oh.
Right, this is from Geo Ashley, and don't know whether it's doing me like, you know, like a my cock small thing.
Yeah, fuck's sake, Geo, come on.
Right, tell me if I say anything. Could you wish my Scottish pal Dimpsey happy birthday?
Could you wish my Scottish pal Dimpsey?
My Scottish pal Dimpsey. Like my cock is well something. Maybe it's just an actual question.
My cock is tinsy. I don't really know.
My cock is well.
Right, Gio, both our cocks are small. Yeah. We've got it out there. You've got
Stop trying to do us with it. Could you wish my Scottish pal Dimpsey happy birthday?
Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday, Dimpsey.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Dimpsey. Am I saying anything there?
Why is he Scottish? Why is he Scottish?
It's probably born in Scotland, mate.
No, but what? I'm trying to think Scottish. Like, I don't know.
And then he also asked, should we bring back the death penalty?
Good question.
Is it?
No, it's not. I just said that. Good question, Gio, actually. Good question. Is it? No, it's really not. I don't really have an input on this. Maybe. I mean, I think there's some crimes where I'm like, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like, but then additionally,
I think it's surely better for someone to rot in a prison for the rest of their life than just be killed.
Yeah.
But the thing is nowadays not that I know really, but I'm assuming like with what I've heard and what I've seen, prisons aren't that bad. So that's why people are like, should we bring that death penalty? Because people are committing horrible crimes and then just being looked after in a prison for the rest of their life, watching daytime TV and eating 3 meals a day.
Yeah. Only 3 meals?
And like living tax-free and everything. Like, you know what I mean? So,
I'm already on like 5 meals at that point.
Yeah, that's when you have to steal the other guy's meals.
Oh yeah,
you have to be one of their bitches just to get their extra food.
That's what it would be. Yeah,
honestly, I'll let you fuck me if I can have your meal for.
That's what you have to do. Fucking hell, got to be done. And then I mean, if you think about it, you get a bit of extra protein as well, you know, from the actual intercourse. So it wouldn't be a bad thing.
No. Right, I feel like I've actually got some questions. I feel like I've got some questions there.
Okay.
Could you wish my Scottish pal Dimpsey happy birthday?
Happy birthday, Dempsey.
Happy birthday, Dimpsey.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with that. Macamorris, what's more important in physique for competing? Shape and structure or size? I'd argue, not even in physique, I'd say in bodybuilding. I think there's differences. I think bodybuilding, you can be an absolute mass monster and your structure can be pretty poor, but if you just look like an absolute freak, you might not make it at the top level, because usually the people at the top level are going to be mass monsters, freaks, and also like structure-wise, like ridiculous. But yeah, you can definitely make it there. I think in physique, I'd argue, shape and structure is probably the most important, if I'm honest. Like, because physique, you have to have that shape, and it's the same as classic physique. A lot of people try and specify themselves into a genre of like competing, and usually it's like, you're not really physique, you're not really classic physique.
I think what people forget though is your shape improves with size majority of the time. So often, especially if you're bringing up areas for that category. So you might not have the best men's physique shape, but if you really work on your lat width, your upper chest, your side delts, and your abs, like, you're going to have better men's physique shape over time. Your structure's not going to change. Like, you're still going to have the same skeletal system, but you can improve your shape through having more size if you put it on in the right areas. So I think people think they're two separate things, like, oh, shape is completely different to size. A lot of the time it's not, because you just need to put on more muscle in those given areas to improve your overall shape. Like, that is bodybuilding, or men's physique, whatever you want to call it. That is the art of bodybuilding, is improving, especially as you get more advanced, improving in those weaker areas to bring about more balance and more shape.
Yeah, no, I'd 100% agree. Yeah. I think it's an interesting one when it comes to physique, because, like, again, I feel like a lot of people, like, if you're going to do really well, you'll most likely know off the get-go when you add your first, like, 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds of tissue. But then at the same time, you'll be growing everywhere. And then eventually you get to a point where you can have almost some level of specialization. I feel like if you start off and you already have some level of emphasis on specialization, I'm not going to say it's backwards, but I almost think, as you mentioned, it should just be kind of systemic growth. Then you get to a certain point, and if you want to take it from a competition standpoint, you look at your strengths and you look at your weaknesses, and you almost build into the category that you want to be competing in and go from there. Like, I've said it, like, I could probably do quite well in classic, like, but then my legs would need to be better, my quads would need to be a lot better. My hamstrings were all right, but I would therefore, if I was to look at my current training, I'd be like, well, I'm doing push 3 times a week, I'm doing pull twice per week, I'm only doing legs once. So therefore I'd drop one of them down and I'd push my legs to twice per week. And I'd probably say, right, well, my upper chest, my pushing musculature, yeah, it could be better, but does it really need to have that level of emphasis? Probably not. So I'd pull that down slightly and I'd go from there. And you can almost build your physique based off a needs analysis relevant to your physique, and then also the demands of the competition that you're doing. And likewise for Maka, like, he's men's physique being coached by Callum. I'm guessing he'll be, from a training standpoint, more specifically regarding, let's say, top line musculature, lats, arms, etc. And that'll be almost his kind of prioritization regarding men's physique, because he's not really going to be like, right, train legs twice per week. It's not going to happen. Like, he doesn't need legs in men's physique, or, you know what I mean? You still could do with some legs, but it's not a main focus.
Cool. This is from Big Ped. Ped the Dark Knight. I feel like he's changed his name.
Ped the Dark Knight.
Ped the Dark Knight. Not a question. Just tell everyone. Not a question. Just tell everyone you're awesome, guys. I enjoy listening and watching all your content. Thank you, mate.
Oh, that's nice. He dropped me a voice note yesterday. And he was like speaking English, and his English is ridiculous. Like, he literally sounded like I wouldn't have known he was like from a different country. You know, he's foreign, like speaking, like, it sounded like almost fluent. It was ridiculous. And he was talking to me about his leg press, and he was dropping it from like, I think 4 sets to 3 sets. And I was like, yep, makes sense. Like, he was just asking me a question. And I was like, yeah, go for it. Like, it was quite cool, because you could tell, like, obviously it's not fluent, but it was very close to it. It was ridiculous. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite cool, that all the way from Italy. Whereabouts in Italy, Ped? Let us know.
I like Italy. It's nice.
Yeah, I only know them off football teams. So, like, whereabouts? What's your nearest Serie A team?
He has asked a question. It's further up. He's put, in truth, I have one question. If you feel you need a deload for legs but not for other muscle, what do you advise? Full deload or just deload on leg day for 1 to 2 sessions? Thanks, guys.
Well, his question to me was actually about dropping the total sets on his leg press. He was doing 4 sets and he's now going to drop to 3. And I would actually just assess your volume of your lower body. So like if we were to compare it to what we've done, there was a time, I can't remember when, I think it was when I was prepping, and Finn had legs twice per week. And like every single time it would come around on a 7-day rotation, you're going to have one day with like obviously more amount of time. So I think it was like you were doing legs like what, Monday and Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that, or
so
whatever.
you ended up having 2 days in between and 3 days in between, like 2 full days rest or 3 days full day, 3 full days.
And I think it was for like Monday's session, you were like, oh, I feel really fresh. Like I feel good, raring to go. I'm all good. And then every single time it come around to that session, it was only 2 days or 3 days afterwards with 2 full days off because we were training. Like obviously it wasn't where we were just resting. Like Finn's recovery wasn't in a good spot. And you were mentioning, I just can't handle, like I feel like I'm not recovering to the same standard. Like I always go into the session, my quads feel tired, my legs don't feel good. And what the change was literally you dropped frequency. Like your frequency now is actually higher, if I'm not mistaken, but your total volume in those sessions is lesser. So I would say for Ped to assess his total volume and think, can he spread it out? Not always is the sense of doing more work equates to better work. Sometimes doing less is actually a lot more beneficial. And just assess, right, if I'm not recovering from X amount of sets per week, maybe drag that down, maybe actually increase the frequency, but just drop the total volume to be in a fairly similar spot. So it's meaning that the sessions aren't as demanding, and just go from there and almost just have a bit of an experiment. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like you're going to play around, and like it's almost where at times I've given myself too much and gone, fucking hell, I'm not recovering. Right, I need to pull back. I need to make a change. Sometimes like we've done it plenty of times where we feel pretty good. We had a set and we're like, yeah, spot on, cool. A couple of weeks later, can we add in a bit more? Yeah, sound. And we go from there. But eventually you'll always get to a point where your volume will always get greater throughout a training meso. If you think about, you're getting stronger as well. So you're lifting more load for more repetitions. Therefore, your volume, even though you're doing 2 sets, technically is going to be higher weeks 12 in comparison to week 1. So if he's stronger than what he was like, let's say 10 weeks ago, he might just not be able to recover from the current amount of workload that he's doing on a lower body, and he might have to make a change.
Yeah, exactly. I think like what I did in that scenario was I didn't change the actual frequency. So I was still training my legs twice a week. But what I did was basically I put quads onto one day. So I have a full leg day, and then I put quads onto one day and hamstrings onto one day. So hamstrings in with a pull day, and then I've got a quads and delt session. Again, you know, what we spoke about earlier about working on weaknesses and working on shape. Like for me to improve my overall shape and bodybuilding sort of flow and symmetry, that I need to focus more on my lower body. I need to focus more on my delts and my back. Like that's why I've got my programming based on how it is. So I basically have like a leg day, and then I have top up volume for quads in with the delt session, and then top up volume for hamstrings in with pull. So you can still go into that leg day and really attack it. Obviously my volume is still within reason that I can recover from. And then I've got that extra top up volume, which isn't overly demanding, but can be really high quality because it is low volume. Like I have 2 sets of a leg extension, and then 1 set of a leg press, and then 2 sets of a single leg extension in the delt session, quads and delts. So that's not demanding. It's 5 sets. And then I have for hamstrings, obviously you can include it in like the deadlift that I have. So like 2 sets there. And then I have 3 sets on a ham curl. So 5 sets there basically. But then on my actual leg day,
and a glute drive.
Yeah, I don't really get much hamstring out of the glute drive though.
No, I'm not saying hamstring, but I'm more saying lower body musculature.
Yeah.
You know, activation.
Yeah. But then, like I say, the actual leg day, you know, that's like the main day for it. So, yeah, I'd also say as well, like he's saying he feels like he needs a deload. I would argue he probably just feels sore.
Yeah.
Which is quite different to feeling like you need a deload. Like generally, you don't want to just correlate soreness with a deload. You're going to correlate things like mental fatigue, physical fatigue, just feeling lethargic, performance drop off, those kind of things, like lack of intent to train, rather than just being a bit sore. If you're a bit sore, then it is probably just, okay, you're probably not really recovering well enough from the volume you're doing, so just pull it down.
Yeah, like we always say, like if I've got push tomorrow, if I bring my arm across here, I'm like, right, sore, fucking really sore. Like there's never a time where I'm like, oh, this feels fresh. I usually feel pretty
also, I guarantee like tomorrow when you train, you'll feel ready to train. you won't feel that sore that you can't train. Because if you did, then you'd be like, right, something's not right. So it's all good feeling sore, and it's all good having some soreness going into a session. I think the amount of times that like clients will message me like, oh mate, my hamstrings are a bit sore. Should I still train legs? I'm like, yeah, if you can walk,
have you ever, like, this is what I always say this, like, I never would rule myself out from doing an exercise until I at least attempt it.
Yeah, you got to at least get warm, get some blood there, and see how you get on. But I think, like I say, if you can move that body part. So, for example, my chest's really sore. If you can do this, and even if it feels a bit sore, but if you can do this, you're probably going to be all right to train to a decent extent. Once you get warm, you're probably going to be sound. If you can walk, you're probably still going to be all right to train quads. If you can't sit down and get up, then you're probably going to need to either take a rest day, or you definitely need to look at...
quit being a pussy and just get fucking on with it.
Definitely look at your rest time.
Be a man.
But I think people are expecting to feel like no soreness at all going into the next session. And sometimes that's the case. And often if that is the case, you can think, okay, maybe, can I add a set to that previous session because I'm recovering really, really easily, really quickly.
Especially considering that Ped trains hard.
He does train hard.
Yeah.
So you could maybe add a set. But if you're a bit sore, like going into a session, then that's fine. Like, it's not a problem. You're still going to be able to get a lot out of that session, especially once you get a bit warm, get a bit of blood flow, go into that body part, you'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I get that.
All right, your question.
Let's have a look. Does Ped use Peds like you? Just about that. Ped's becoming a Ped. You're getting questions about yourself, mate. I don't think he would. I don't think he'd be a big cheat. I don't think...
Ped's a good person.
Yeah, Ped's a good person. All Italians are honest individuals. I mean, Giorgio Chiellini pulling back Saka in the Euro final. Absolutely disgraceful. None of them are cheats. So all Italians are absolutely fine. Thoughts on certain coaches asking clients to train at their flat? Like we said, everyone...
You got me training at your shed in lockdown.
Yeah, technically. So... Not my flat, not that.
Didn't even want to.
Yeah, I didn't even want to. They were like, Reece, I don't even want to train. I was like, yeah, just come train at mine. That's what it was. And then I think that was actually all. Oh no, how to program 2 pull sessions in 1 rotation. Thanks, from Theo. And Theo, I coach you. You're more than welcome to ask me. I have him currently doing an upper and a leg pull. And he actually did. He didn't adhere, mate. He trained with someone else, so he didn't do the leg pull. He just did the pull session. And I was like, hey mate, you're sacked. Sorry. In reality, I didn't sack him. I was like, please, mate, please stick to what I say. Please listen to me. So basically, he's asked, how do you do 2 pull rotations? How would you do 2 pull rotations, mate, in 1 rotation? You'd have a hip hinge on one of them, and then I'd have like a fixed hip flexion bent row.
Why would you ask me and then say what you'd do?
Mate, I didn't even go into detail.
If you're going to ask me, then let me answer.
Right. Then ignore everything I said. What would you do?
So what I would do is 1 session I'd probably have a hip hinge.
Wow.
And what would you do on the other? No, to be fair, it depends, doesn't it? Depends what you need more of. Like if you need more lats, then generally I would base both sessions quite heavily dominant on lats, but I'd still probably have 1 with a hip hinge. I wouldn't necessarily have 1 with a like a non-supported row. I wouldn't necessarily. I think it depends. I think it depends on the individual. I quite like giving people that movement, like a dumbbell row or a barbell row, basically without chest support. I quite like it if they struggle with bracing and if they struggle with being in that hinge position, because it just gets them more accustomed to being there, spending more time there. But it's not essential. I have loads of clients who instead of that will do a T-bar or just a cable row. But yeah, I mean, a pull session is going to look relatively similar, unless, like I say, you could base one of them more on lats, you could base one of them more on upper back, but I'd argue you'd have to be quite advanced to do that. For you to need a specific session for just the lats and need a specific session for just the mid and upper back, you would have to be quite advanced. So they're probably going to look quite similar. One's going to be a bit more demanding with maybe a hip hinge, and one might be a leg pull day, where you might not have to call it leg pull. Like I just call mine pull, but I have hamstrings, a hip thrust and a deadlift in it. So that you could class that as leg pull, or you could class it as posterior day. And then
density
you could have
day.
Density day. You could have that, and then you could just have one that's basically more of just a solely focused back day. That's kind of what I would recommend if you're going to do the two. And that's kind of what I do. So I have my pull day, and then I have my back and delts day, where like in that session, I don't have any demanding back movements really. I have a single arm pull down, a mid and upper back row, a pull up, and then a lat row. So it's not like I'm not doing anything like an unsupported row or any kind of hinge or anything like that. So that is how I would set it up.
Yeah. I quite like to join you on that pull-up. I think I might add that just one set.
Well, that's a good segue to the next question, because J Murphy Fitness asked us.
Hello, Jack. How are we doing, mate?
Press ups, as many reps as possible. Who wins, Natty or Big Cheat?
Natty or Big Cheat? Fucking hell. Cheers, Jack. Thanks, mate.
I used to do you in lockdown at press ups when we did it. We sometimes did it at the end of sessions, and I used to do you.
I can't remember this, mate. I'm not actually trying to take the piss. I legitimately can't remember.
That's because you just...
When? Are we talking are we talking the ones we used to do outside?
Yeah.
And we put weight on our back? Yeah, you actually did used to do me. I remember that. You were good at those. And then the last lockdown, you didn't do them, I did. And I got up to like 80 kg. Do you remember I had the two big 50?
Your hips were on the floor.
Mate, having 80 kg on my back, no surprise. It was
it's not very difficult, is it, when your hips are on the floor?
No, it was still hard. I was still going through.
But anyway, he's on about doing as many reps as possible. And I remember a couple of times at the end of a session, we did that in the lockdown. And I'm sure I used to do you. But I was a lot lighter then. I'm not, obviously, I'm lighter now, but I'm a lot heavier than I was then.
Do you want to, at the end of Monday's session, give it a
go?
No. Mate, why not? We'll have it as a metabolic finisher.
Instead of the lateral. Instead of lateral. Oh, yeah, it's the same thing.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. It's not. But I'm more so, okay, we'll take out one set of the fly.
No, because we press again on Wednesday. I'm not going to, just for that, ruin my pressing again on Wednesday.
Ruin your pressing? You're telling me, mate, you're not that heavy. You're 100 kilos. You know, like, actually, to be fair, but you're not getting over 50 press ups, because Finn can't get over 100 kg on any press for over 15. He'll get 15. He'll be like, I'm running up to a 20. 8 weeks later, how many reps you on? Still 15.
It happened. That happened one time.
No. It happened like 5 weeks on the trot.
No, I think it did progress. It definitely progressed. I'm sure I got like 100 for like 12, and I worked up to like an 18. But then it just got stuck at 18.
About 18. No, I think it was like 12, then 15, then 15, then 15, then 15, then 16, then 14. And you were like,
I wasn't doing a hip thrust like you, and I wasn't doing.
And then Boris
wasn't 2 inches.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, my flat bench press was actually better range of motion than yours. I remember saying that. I was like, mate, I'm doing your range here.
I'm not sure. Your hips were like, or you were literally doing a hip thrust.
Mate, it was all glute.
You rolled it down to your chest, you rolled it onto your hips, and then you hip thrusted it up, and you're like, oh, now I've done 180.
Wow, so strong. So yeah. No, I'd say I'm pretty good at high. I got 50 reps on a body weight dip. Granted, all over the place, but like I just wanted to see if I could do 50 reps. I reckon I'd be quite confident. I'm quite good at high rep stuff. So I reckon.
I'm not saying that I'd win.
No, mate. I'm not saying. Finn, you don't have to be so sensitive, man. I'm not trying to do you. I'm just saying I'm confident. I feel like I do you, all right?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we didn't actually answer it, and I'm saying you would win, and I'm comfortable with that.
Okay, glad to know. Fucking being so sensitive, like being like you biting me. That's what it is.
I'm not being sensitive at all. I realised that we haven't properly answered it, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm confident. I'd do it." I'm like, "Yeah, I know you would. You're a big cheat."
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't even be able to compete. Like we'd go for it, and someone would say, "Excuse me, you guys aren't allowed to go against each other." You know,
not a fair playing field.
Yeah, definitely. Why do you purposely break gym pins?
Who was that?
Speaking of that, I need to buy one. Aaron, I'm gonna buy one this evening. Yeah, why do you purposely, in capitals, break gym pins? Just too strong, mate. As mentioned, a small price to pay for.
You are a bit slack with putting them on. Like if you put it in properly and you make sure you put the weight on properly, it's not going to bend. But you're a bit slack.
So what I need to do is I need to make sure I'm putting it in properly.
Yeah.
Okay, clearly I don't really care enough. I just whack it in there.
Just whack it in. Just fucking that'll do.
That'll do. Yeah, I need to take care and some pride with it. That's all my questions, mate. So if you wanna carry on with yours.
This is from Mackenzie. She says, "Hi guys, hope you're doing well. How long post prep does it take for you to feel normal?" And then she put, "Loving the content as always. Thank you, Mackenzie."
It's an interesting one, and it really depends on how hard you pushed and where you're at. Like, everyone's going to be slightly different. I know Sanaya, like, she won't mind. She actually said this to a client I heard earlier. Like, if she, like, the thought of a prep or a diet for her now is like quite, like, she'd be scared. Like, if I was to say, right, you go on a holiday or you're doing a photo shoot, I've booked you in, you need to get lean. Like, you know, something where she's like, has to diet. I don't think from a psychological standpoint, she'd be in a great spot. She'd be able to. I'm not saying she wouldn't be able to, but she just wouldn't want to. That's not to say she doesn't feel normal. She feels normal. But you'll have some lasting implications where now, like, I'm already sick of food. My food focus is out the window. I could diet. I could prep tomorrow, genuinely. Like, if you were to say to me, right, Reece, you've got to show in 18 weeks, go and prep. I'd be like, yeah, sound, I could do it. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want to. It took me probably up till about Christmas to feel normal within myself. So that's about 8 weeks, six weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
I think it's very hard to actually notice, though, when you feel normal, because it's such a slow process.
And we argue what normal feels like. And again, mine was actually probably slower based off the fact that I literally got ill a week after prep and I couldn't eat for 3 or 4 days. So my body weight came back down. So the initial idea of like, oh, add 10 pounds in the first couple of days and then you can build off that. Mine was add 2 pounds and then drop that 2 pounds and be the same weight 2 weeks after, which was horrible. I felt that was the worst I've ever felt in my entire life. So that probably slowed down the recovery process. And again, as Finn said, I'd question what feels normal. Like, I wasn't that food orientated. I liked a bit of variance. I enjoyed some good times with like friends, family, etc. I liked waking up for the first time thinking, fucking hell, I don't have to think about like, oh my God, I've got loads of cardio, or I don't have to, like, it was quite a nice thought that I'm not having to stick to the same food. If I fancied, like, let's say, for example, my rice, if I had a different like source of rice, I'd freak out. I'd be like, I have to have the same rice. Where like now it's like, oh, there's 3 carb difference between this rice. I don't mind, I'll have it. Where before I was so rigorous, where like, obviously I'm not saying like I'm out the window with my mind, but like you get into a position where you're a little bit anal about everything. So it was quite nice. And I'd say, like I said, probably took me up until Christmas to feel like how I usually feel, where I'm like, right, I don't actually have too much of a connection regarding like anything really. I feel like myself, I'm quite switched off. And it's like, if you would say to me, oh, do you want to go out for food? I'd be like, yeah, don't mind. So like, I prefer to stick to my usual kind of food.
I think it's really hard to say, especially for me, because it's quite a long time ago, but also like you feel normal at the end of prep because it's what you're used to. You know what I mean? So like for me, throughout prep, like I did, there was the odd few times where I felt a bit trash, don't get me wrong, but like I also, towards the end, it was normal. I just felt that was normal. I wasn't like, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't wait to eat or anything like that. Like I just felt normal. Because I'd been dieting for so long, and I couldn't wait to like
train and feel good, you know. And like I said to you, do you remember this was before Christmas? And I was like, I might be sounding a bit wet here, but I was like, I feel like still really anxious regarding training at times. Where like I'd go into sessions, and this was, I haven't had this in ages, which is good, literally since probably Christmas. And I remember like even after prep, there was times where like I'd go into sessions and I wouldn't be like, I'd be so anxious regarding how the session's going to go, because I was like, I hope I feel good. And it was like, Reece, your body weight's up, your food's high, you will be fucking fine. You're going to be sound. Like, it's not where you're going to be like, oh my God, I've regressed. But I built up a lot of anxiety regarding how I feel and how I was when I was in the gym. Because I feel like the gym is a time for me to almost switch off from, I don't have to be coaching. I don't have to be on my WhatsApp. I don't have to be doing what I usually do outside the gym. So I always focus on myself. And when I don't feel like myself in the gym, that's like the best part of my day. And how I am myself, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, it really puts me in a bit of a downer. So yeah, it was like that was still happening 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks constantly afterwards. And then eventually, like, it just dropped off. I don't really have it anymore. And I remember specifically you said like we were training at Shahid's and it was during that lockdown, and it was like, this was like a week or 2 afterwards. And I remember you like cracked a joke and I started laughing. And then I started laughing and I got not emotional, but I remember thinking, fucking hell, like I actually forgot you were funny. Like forgot that you actually had some humor about you because you didn't say anything. And I was like, this is weird. Like, you mentioned something and I started laughing and I was like, this is really weird. Like, you didn't make me laugh once because you didn't say anything. Like, you just were quiet. And I almost remember thinking to myself, this is different. Like, this isn't Finn, because you just get acclimatized to you being a bit more mute, you know, a bit more switched off. And that's how it is. Like,
but that's what I mean by that. That at the time feels normal.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I don't remember at the end of prep or even throughout prep thinking, I don't feel like myself. Like, I just remember basically just wanting to get on with things, and people annoyed me a bit more, but people annoyed me anyway. Like, you just have even less tolerance for it because you've got less energy to sort of actually be able to deal with it.
I remember you saying that, like, there was a few times where you cracked a joke and I was like really snappy, but I didn't mean to be.
Mate, massively.
Yeah. And like, you'd say something and I'd be like, what? And I remember saying to you, like, mate, I genuinely wasn't snappy. I was not in the room and you're mentioning it, so you're almost bringing me back. So I'd be like, sorry, I'm not present. Like, it would be like you'd say something and I wouldn't get the joke, and then like it would annoy me that I didn't get the joke. So I'd be like, what is it? And then you thought I was being, and I was like, no, mate, I genuinely just wasn't here. Like, I was here, but I'm not here. Like, it was
like, if I made like a little joke, like now you would just laugh at it or you'd laugh it off. But then you were really sensitive, but you weren't sensitive in the way that you'd get upset. You'd just be like, what? Like, you'd not in terms of like being angry, but you'd just be like, if you didn't hear it, like, I wouldn't even repeat it because I know that you'd just be like, you'd get pissed off rather than find it funny. So I'd just be like, just don't worry, mate. It's not worth.
I remember because I already did that a few times, and like, legitimately, I never got angry. I was like, I got annoyed by myself because I wasn't like mentally, I didn't have the energy. So I'd be like, what? And then you wouldn't say it, and then I'd be like, no, mate, tell me. And you'd be like, nah, it's gone now, don't worry. And I'd be like, fuck's sake. You know, it's how it is. So yeah, but like, in the moment, you don't. And I remember you telling me once at Aaron's, and I was like really sharp, and I was like, oh, fucking hell, sorry, mate, I didn't mean that. But you almost kind of like put up with it. Like, I remember there was a few times you'd say stuff to me, or like I had to talk for you to people in the gym, and that's quite like, it was almost where you kind of like, I scratched your back and then you scratched my back.
I don't know what we're going to do when we both compete.
Yeah, we're going to fucking hate each other, mate. We're not going to be friends. We're going to be like, you know what, fuck off. Going to get in fights. That's what it is.
I actually think at times we deal with each other better when we're in prep because we're quieter. Like, so we just get on with it. It's your set. It's my set. You know what I mean? Like, I think although you can be a bit more irritable, but if you're both not irritating each other because you've both got no energy to be pissing about, then you're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be energetic enough to be annoying. So it's like, if we're both just fucked, it'll be like, right, it's your set. Yeah, it's my set. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be where one of us has got a load of energy and the other hasn't. Yeah, no, I agree. Right, let's smash through these now. Harry Austin lifts. Thoughts on big gull jumping on? Wouldn't surprise me. Reece gets all his clients to do it.
Mate, can you repeat that? Like, I'm not, mate, what? Can you repeat?
You get angry.
It was all static. Did you say people jumping on gear?
Harry Austin lifts, Gulliver's mate.
Yeah.
Thoughts on big gull jumping on?
Oh, no chance. Definitely not needed. Gull's got plenty to grow, like the vast majority of individuals, naturally.
I heard he's already jumped on because you told him to.
Yeah, I told him to. Yeah, that's what it was. First check-in, mate, you're not on this? Fucking hell, should be. No, seriously, Gull's got plenty of potential in the natural scenes. We're setting our sights on some teen shows in the UK DFBA, so that'll be the goal. So therefore, you can't take anabolics if you want to be competing in the UK DFBA.
Can't you?
Oh, mate. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. Maybe the BMBF.
What did that guy say? My face looks like I'm on D-ball or something.
Yeah, Tom, my client. He was like, mate, Finn's not on gear. His face, he's got D-ball face. That's what it was. That's
beard. Yeah. This is from Will Bourne. Why is Watson equipment terrible?
You know what? It's funny. I mentioned this in your video. I think, the Watson Preacher Curl, worst machine I've ever used in my entire life. Some of it's all right. The T-bars okay. I think it's overrated, if I'm honest. I don't think it's amazing. I think it's okay.
It's decent.
It's good.
The reason it's overrated is because the handles are adjustable.
Yeah, literally, handles adjustable. That's the only reason. And I don't ever really do another T-bar and think, oh, I wish the handles were adjustable. Like, I don't ever do another T-bar.
The grip does feel a lot more comfortable than most T-bars.
Yeah, it's not a bad T-bar at all. It's a good T-bar. I just don't think it's like something I'd preach about. The Watson, the ham curl is awful. You literally can't get it fully short.
Same with the leg extension.
The leg extension isn't as bad, but it's not good. No. It's really not good. The standing single arm lateral has the handle is. I have big hands.
To be single arm, you know.
Oh yeah, but no, the dual arm lateral. I have big hands. I cannot it's so hard to grip. Big hands. And you know what they say about people with big hands? A lot of growth hormone.
You don't have big hands.
A lot of growth hormone. I don't know, mate. Look at that. It's pretty big.
Look at mine. Whoa, fucking hell.
Wow, look at that, man. Wow, so much bigger. And your head's fucking huge, mate. All the debug. So,
we don't really have the answer other than the people that make the Watson kit probably don't know that much about training, or they haven't tested a lot of it. Some of it's great, but a lot of it's shit.
Yeah.
This is from Oys in Waddington. Are you looking to do a pre-prep diet? If so, can you explain how you plan to go about it? Oh, he's asked that question twice. I was just like, why? He's asked another one. It says the exact same. Are you going to do a pre-prep?
I think it's
how do you plan to go about it?
I think it has to be with the perfect individual, and it has to almost coincide well with that current phase. And I personally quite like the idea of going into a prep where stress levels are really, really low, fatigue's ridiculously low, food's very high, and therefore you've got more to pull from. But then at the same time, if composition is horrendous, would it be better to maybe do a shorter prep and then do a pre-prep prep prior to that prep? And that could be done, let's say, months in advance. I'm not if you're starting prep April, May time, I don't think you should be prepping that year. It should be the latter end of the last year, and that gives you a good 3 to 5 months, 6 months, etc., of building food back up, getting food into a good spot, and then hopefully being in better condition to start a prep, so you're not having to pull off a massive amount of body weight. I think it's relevant if you're having to pull off 60 pounds, 50 to 60 pounds. But even then, I'd probably prefer just going in with higher. No, in reality, it would be where, if I was thinking about what you're most likely going to do, I think you'll probably will just see how things go. If you were to come to, let's say, mid to latter point of this year, and you're like, fucking hell, I'm struggling to get food in, body weight's not rising, a lot of metrics are out of line, let's say blood glucose, etc., not in a good position, you'd be like, right, let's do a quick tidy up, let's get myself sensitive again, let's push up, and then you're going to be going into a prep in a better spot. But if everything's in a good position and you're the way you are now, I don't think you'll be thinking, I need to do a pre-prep prep.
I already have planned it all out. I'm going to do one. It makes sense with the body weight. It's either I pretty much try and hold or gain insanely slowly from now until I start prep, or I do a pre-prep diet. Same with Niall. So Niall's a good example. This is the ideal scenario for a client. So Niall's been working with me for just over a year now. Yeah. He came to me and we planned out, right, you're going to compete as a junior in 2023. It'll be your last year as a junior. We just need to put on as much muscle as we possibly can. So we did a priming phase, pulled him down a little bit. And then since then he's been in a gaining phase, and he's gained it's coming up to 40 pounds. And he started at 150 odd. So that's a lot of weight, at that body weight. It's not 40 pounds from 200 to 240. It's 40 pounds from, 150-ish. So it's a big jump.
Almost a third of body weight.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lot of weight. He's put on a lot, and he's also put on a hell of a lot of strength and a lot of muscle. And I've spoke to him about numerous times about maybe we should tidy up, but we're only thinking that because of how he's looking, not based on his performance or anything like that. His performance is really, really good. So we've said, right, we're just going to keep going. We will do a pre-prep diet at some point in the near future, and then we'll basically push on again for probably about 6 to 8 months, but not get as heavy as he is now. So he's low 190s now. We've said that.
I've got a more recent example
there. Huh?
Yeah. I've got a more recent example. Comrade. That's literally what we did.
Well done, mate. It's not a competition about who's got a better example.
No. But this is like relevant to this year. Like he's literally starting prep next month. So with Conran, he was 97 kilos when we started. Worked him up to like 110 to 112, like at his peak. Then I think it was like September of last year. That this was like a good year in a gaining phase. We were like, right, few signs here. Condition was a bit sloppy, like he wasn't looking his best. I think we might have been a tiny bit earlier, but we went into like an 8 to 10 week tidy up. We had like a reversal phase after that, and we dropped down. Like we actually got body weight back to where we started, like 97 kilos. So we literally went up, came back down. Through that time, strength was so much higher, performance so much higher as a result of his strength being high, obviously. And condition was so much more improved. Like at 97 kilos, he looked really good. And then we literally pushed him back up. He's now a month away from prep. He's at 102.5 to 3 kilos. Condition is really, really good, all things considered. And food's high. Like he's on like 4,007 when it comes to training day calories. And I think 4,000 calories on non-training day. So he's probably still got another 2 to 3 food adjustments if needed. Condition's in a good spot. Like we can probably be maybe a kilo or too high from where we are now. I wouldn't complain. But it's almost where like, right, we're thinking, right, this is good. Training volume's in a good spot. Progression literally occurring on like a weekly fashion. And that's literally from like a pre-prep prep. But we've had the time available to us to really build him back up and get himself in a good spot. But I think a lot of people now are doing it like a little bit, in my opinion, a bit too late. If you're doing it like January, Feb, like, Jesus Christ, like
no, it's going to be it. I feel like you want to give yourself at least a good 4 months minimum working.
Yeah, I said 3 to 5, like so perfect with what I was thinking, and even 3 is low. Like
yeah, I think I'd like to have at least probably 6 to 8 working back up. But I'd like to finish it. What you've got to think as well, like especially for quite a lot of people. I mean, this isn't really relevant for me, but a lot of people aren't going to want to be dieting over Christmas. So if you say to them, "Oh, you're going to do a pre-prep diet, and you're going to do it so that you've got, let's say, 3 months to push back up," you're probably going to be dieting November, December time, which for a lot of people isn't going to work with their families, their friends, their social events, whatever they've got. So I would generally say you want to be looking at maybe finishing that diet September time, October time, and then you've got at least probably 6, 7, 8 months from there to push back up until, let's say, April time, to then start a prep, giving yourself 20 odd weeks before a qualifier, August, September time, and then looking at finals if that's what your goals are. So obviously if you're looking at competing at a different stage of the year, then you just shift that all around. But let's say you go from maybe 10 months before you're looking to start prep, you could do one then for 2 to 3 months, a diet, anywhere between maybe 8 and 12 weeks, pull off however much you need. So like for me, for example, like by the point that I need one, I'd like to think that I'll be close to 230, maybe a little bit heavier, still like in great condition that I'm in now. I'd like to say I'll pull off maybe about 30 pounds in the space of 10 weeks, which sounds like fucking that's quite a lot, but realistically, like it's not. And I know that I'll be able to do that pretty easily and feel
you're like 8 to 10 pounds down within the first week.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and then I'll probably look at, for the next, let's say, 6 to 8 months, gaining at maybe £1 a month. So I might start prep at 210 rather than what would be, if let's say I didn't do that, probably 230, and I'm not a very good 230 because I've held it for so long, or 240 if I just keep gaining, which would be horrendous, and I'd have about 80 pounds to pull off. So generally, I think if you can start a prep when you've got probably 40 to 50 pounds, it's definitely manageable to do more than that. But I think 40 to 50 pounds is a good range to be within. And for me, for example, if I was at 210, I know that I'd have about 40 to 50 pounds to pull off.
Wait, mate, you're telling me that, mate, I've heard people say any more than like 30 pounds means you just got too fat in the off season.
Yeah, you'll just end up being too fatigued.
Yeah, and that's just not going to work. Even though you'll be not conditioned when you actually hit the 30-pound marker, you'll shout out in the gym, "Oh, it needs to be more than 30 pounds." And if it's more than 30 pounds, you just got too fat. Yeah, any more than 30 pounds, you fucked your off season. I've only got 4 or 5 kilos to go, and then I'm going to be show ready for coming from a guy who's 12 kilos away.
All right, come on, last one, and then we're done. This is from Will Bertolini. He said, "Who's getting relegated this season?" And then he put in brackets, "Not Watford."
Why not Watford? Because he's a Watford fan.
He's a Watford fan.
Oh, all right. Watford are going down. Sorry, mate. Yeah, Watford.
I think Norwich.
Mate, have you seen Everton's fixtures? Jesus Christ, they are hard. Like, I think out their last 13 games, 11 of which are in the top 12 or something. Like, it's something mental.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like they're too big of a club to go down.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go down, personally.
I think
it'd be funny if they did.
Norwich. I don't know. Watford, you never know.
Yeah.
Especially with Big Hodgie at the Realm. I would say, yeah, Norwich, probably Watford, and maybe Leeds.
I want Burnley to go down. Like, I feel like Burnley have just been shithousing their way through the Prem years on years on years.
I don't think they'll go down, though.
I don't think they will. They've got the players who, like, Tarkowski or whatever is going to be like, right, this is the last one because he's off in the summer. So he's going to be putting his neck on the line, thinking this is the last hurrah before he moves to a mid-table club.
Right, who are we saying? Norwich?
Watford, Burnley. That's my three.
Norwich, Watford.
Everton.
I don't want to say Everton.
If Leeds go down, Rafinha is going to be available on a lovely deal for some club.
Get
Mo Salah out.
I'm going to say Leeds, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll say Leeds.
Yeah. That'll be their punishment for sacking Bielsa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is that all the questions, or did we just get round to the ones?
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Oh, sound lovely. Not too bad. Right, spot on. That's another episode of the Once You're In podcast. Is there anything you would like to leave us with, Finn?
No, I'm going to have my rice and salmon now.
Fantastic. I have cream of rice and whey and dark chocolate and frozen fruit.
Enjoy it, mate.
Yeah, that will do, mate. You enjoy yours. Thanks for everybody who's also eating their meals. Thanks to everybody who's tagged us in stories. And also thanks to anybody who's commented, asked us any questions.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll catch you next week. Bye.